Hey everyone, Shaun Cole of the Simpit, bringing you another gear review. Today we're diving into the world of budget-friendly shifters and taking a look at the Thrustmaster TH8S Shifter, which comes in at only $69.99, making it one of the least expensive shifters on the market. So let's see if this thing can handle the heat out on the track. First off, let's talk about features. The Thrustmaster TH8S Shifter is compatible with both the PC and consoles. In fact, if you look right here, we can flip this switch over and you'll put a USB-C plug right there and go directly into the computer, or flip it there and go with the cable provided right into the back of a Thrustmaster wheel, and that's how you'll maintain your Xbox and PlayStation compatible. It is an H-pattern shifter. It is 8 gates. A lot of people call that 7+1, meaning 7 forward gears, and then usually this one down here, which is marked 8, we would actually use for a reverse. Another main prominent feature of the TH8S Shifter is this clamp. So this clamp is made of plastic and is really made for desks up to about 1.6 inches thick, and it is part of the ease of use of this shifter and probably part of the whole $70 package. Being a little on the inexpensive side, it's probably meant for more beginner users, i.e. someone maybe racing from the desktop even. It does have a hole right there, and inside there, if you look inside, there's a little slot for a flathead screw so that you can adjust the tension on the shifter itself. Now, visually speaking, I mean, look at it. It is all plastic. I mean, you can tell just by looking at it. This is all plastic with exception to the metal post. So the shift rod itself is made of metal, but everything else, the case, the cover, the gates, even the ergonomic shift handle, which this is not replaceable. It's not threaded. It's fixed on there, and it is made of plastic, and it feels a little, unfortunate, a little inexpensive or cheaper, but it does have a great shape to it. So I kind of do like that sport handle feel versus like a round knob or a long skinny post on top of it. At the top, you see we kind of have this faux carbon fiber stamped into, yes, plastic. All the gates there are plastic, and you have a little number sign for each of the channels of the gates. And other than that, it is pretty simple. I mean, you have the 2 cords to choose from. You plug it into your direct method if it's going to be into the PC or into the back of the wheel, and you're pretty much going to be up and running. So let's go ahead and get this installed on the rig so we can try it out on track and see how it performs. For installation, it was really straightforward. I was going to use this on my PC, so I'm going to directly plug it in via USB, and it is plug and play. I didn't even have to download anything to make it work. It just worked right out of the box. However, Thrustmaster does make a driver package and a little program for it so that you can test its functions. So if you want to, you can try that. As far as clamping goes, I mean, it just is as easy as it gets. You just clamp it to any flat surface up to that 1.6 inches, and it is a pretty strong clamp considering it's all made of plastic. Now, on this particular rig, my hardware on the inside made a little bit of an obstruction, so I only had 2 options. I could either push it out wide, or if I really wanted it where I really wanted it to be, it was going to be a little obstructed and it wasn't going to be able to rest or butt up on that front, but the clamp was strong enough that it held it in place just fine, just like that. With the shifter mounted to our rig, all we have to decide is, are we using it on a console or on the PC? If we're on the console side of things, it came with a supplied PS5 cable, so this would go right into the shifter and then the back of the Thrustmaster base, and you're up and running that way. And in my case, you know, I'm playing it on the PC, so I have a USB-C plug. It just goes right in there, and bam, we are up and running just like that, plug and play. We don't have to do any more but map it in-game, which is as straightforward as that. Now, I did download the drivers and the software, and I did fire it up hoping there might be some additional adjustments or other features to this shifter, and spoiler alert, there weren't any. So I decided to take the Mustang out for our testing, and the reason why is the Mustang is perfect for testing shifters. It's so responsive, and it immediately lets you know if you're shifting well or just fighting the car. Right off the bat, I found the gate layout to be pretty intuitive. Shifting up and down through the gears went smoothly for the most part. I did encounter a few misshifts though. Usually when I was trying to shift quickly from 2nd to 3rd, but ended up over in 5th, or when accidentally going from 4th into 7th instead of hitting 5th. These were rare, but they did happen. A result and a penalty of using an H-pattern shifter. One thing to note is the tension on this shifter is quite light, even when you have it cranked up to the maximum. And in some cases, I guess that's a good thing. If you have a lightweight rig, that's going to be great because it's not going to put too much pressure on your rig. And in the case of a heavyweight rig like this, it's obviously the rig doesn't even know this shifter's on it. However, this light tension also contributes to a somewhat plasticky feel when shifting through the gears. Heavier tension wouldn't necessarily improve this because the fundamental build quality of the shifter is what it is. There is a detent as you pass through the neutral gate, but because of the lightweight feel, it's barely noticeable when moving between the 1 and 2 gates or the 5 and 6 gates. It's much more apparent when crossing between the 3-4 gates, which is the shifter's natural or centered position. When I was methodical and deliberate with my shifts, the shifter performed quite well. It allowed for great shift timing with the game, making me feel more in sync with that Mustang. This added a nice level of immersion, as I could really feel the car's shifts and the traction from the rear wheels hitting the ground. However, when I tried to speed shift or slam through the gears, the plastic parts and that budget-friendly price point became evident. There was a noticeable weak feeling when hitting the stops for each gear gate. The flex in the metal arm against the plastic gate made it all feel a bit gamey and not very confidence-inspiring. I have to mention the 7th and reverse gears, and honestly, I didn't use 7th gear at all, and if I was actually using a 7-gear car, I would just stick to my paddle shifters. But it does take me to reverse, and there's nothing preventing, there's no lockout, there's no extra detent when going into reverse. It might as well just be 8th gear, except for the little tiny R at the bottom of the gate. This isn't great for realism, but it is probably a bonus for truckers or those driving vehicles with many gears. Finally, the clamp. Despite being plastic, it held the shifter in place surprisingly well, even under heavier use. This was a pleasant surprise and added a bit of reassurance during my driving sessions. So in summary, the TH8S Shifter is going to give you an immersive driving experience when you're driving methodically. I mean, it is intuitive, and if you're looking for more tactile feedback in your driving experience, this is going to get it done for a lot less money than a lot of other shifters out there. However, if you're looking for rapid shifts and a more robust construction, well, then you're going to feel the limitations of this plasticky build and this lightly sprung shifter. I think I've covered everything there is to tell you about the Thrustmaster TH8S Shifter, but let's go ahead and break it down further with the good, the not so good, and the bottom line, starting off with the good, and that being, this is a very affordable shifter. PC or console compatible with Thrustmaster wheel. Easy to install. Increased immersion. Intuitive gates, easy shifts. Plug and play. And now on to the not so good. There is no gate blocking, so it is 8 open gears no matter what. Made mostly of plastic. Plastic handle or knob. No hard mount options. Lightweight shift feel. And now on to the bottom line. I've said it so many times throughout the years on this show, and that is that shifters are not for everybody. I'm not telling you you need to have a shifter, and there are a few reasons for that. Number one, the shifters in today's sim racing do not have any lockout mechanism. So when you miss a shift, it still goes up into gear, and that just isn't realistic. There is no feedback in the shifter. I mean, think about where we are in sim racing. We have haptic seats, we have full motion rigs, we have haptics in our pedals, and obviously force feedback in our steering wheels, yet the shifter has nothing going on. It's just simply 8 buttons and a lever. It just doesn't get any more basic, and that's a pretty good reason to not make that something you have to have in sim racing. And then lastly, look at modern race cars. There are very few modern race cars that even use a shifter anymore. Now, on the other hand, they are fun. It is a lot more fun to drive a 6-shift car with the proper H pattern shifter and the clutch being used. It's a lot more immersive. You get a lot more in sync with the game and more in sync with the car, and it has that added level of immersion. And on top of that, there is nothing more fast and furious than slamming it into the next gear for that turbo boost of speed. Okay, so that's not very realistic in the movies or in sim racing, but I think you get my point. Now, the Thrustmaster TH8S Shifter is absolutely perfect for those who are looking to increase their sim racing experience with that extra immersion without breaking the bank. But it is absolutely perfect for those who value fun over performance in a lot of different ways. And then obviously, if you have a Thrustmaster wheel and you're looking to get a shifter and you're on the Xbox or PlayStation, it maintains that compatibility. Just plug it right into the base. That's super cool. And then lastly, I think of our newer sim racers. A lot of new sim racers are on a desktop. I mean, a lot of guys are on desktops and they've been there for years. But a lot of time at the beginning of your sim racing career, you're on a desktop, and being able to just clamp it to the desk is just really easy. I can pull it off the desk and put it away when I'm not using it. So I think I've told you everything that you need to know about the Thrustmaster TH8S Shifter. And again, it is a great bang for buck shifter, but at the same time, it is definitely not the most high performance shifter on the market. If you enjoyed this show, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Be sure to subscribe to the channel so you can find out when our next video comes out. And thank you for watching. This is the Simpit. I'm Shaun Cole, and I'll see you on the track.